Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
In this week's episode of the Kindness Project, we talk about Scotland, I am Brew, and we have part one of our interview with Lauren Janus from Phila Engaged Giving.
Good evening, morning, afternoon, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Kindness Project. I am joined by a man who does some really good impressions and a girl who is in Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh, this is weird, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
me and Russ being in the same room and then you being somewhere else.
Just in my flat.
You're in your flat. You're in your new flat. Tell us about your new flat.
It's got 4 walls and a bathroom.
Is the bathroom within the 4 walls?
Well, it has its own sort of tube, but with 2 walls that sections it off from the rest.
So you got is it a wet room? Like a bed sit, isn't it? Bed sit. You in a bed sit?
Who knows?
I mean, there's not put labels on it. Is the toilet inside or outside?
Inside.
Oh, that's useful. It's always good to have an inside toilet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, an outside toilet is a bit cold in the winter, so.
Well, considering I live on the 5th, I want to say, floor.
5th floor.
Bit of a trek to get to the loo if I want to go outside.
Maybe they just put it outside your flat on a balcony. Yeah, they put it on a balcony. You might have a balcony toilet.
Right. Okay.
Just a bucket on your balcony. Could work, couldn't it? Could work. So, what should we talk about today? Oh, look, she's gone all Scottish already with the old iron brew. Unofficial question of the podcast: what is your favourite soft drink? I know that Rice's favourite soft drink is definitely a Coke, because while we've been away this weekend, Charlotte, he's had 47 gallons of it. What's your favourite soft drink? It's the iron brew, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got
Yeah. So my friend bought me a 24 case, and I said to myself,
that's my phone alarm. So are you slowly getting through? Did you take the 24 case of iron brew?
I did.
As part of your trip up to Scotland?
I did.
Keep the essentials. Make sure you've got all the important stuff in there.
Yeah, I've got about half of that left. I've mostly been drinking lemon juice.
Okay, lemon juice. You got what? Direct or like cordial?
Cordial.
So tell us about Threshers Week. Because Raz and I have never experienced a Threshers Week. Have you been to a Threshers Week, Raz?
Wait, no, hold up. How are you pronouncing that?
Threshers.
How is it spelled in your mind?
As it's spelled in your mind.
How is it spelled in your
As it's spelled in your mind.
No. I asked the initial question.
I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, clearly, because it should be Threshers Week, not Threshers Week.
Yeah.
And I've just realised halfway through that I was, in my head, spelling it THRE.
And it's FRE.
And it's FRE, because they're fresh students, aren't they? That's why it's called Freshers Week.
Yeah.
Tell me about either, I'll let you make the decision, Freshers Week or Threshers Week or Threshers Week or Threshers Week. What would you like to tell us about?
Plant. The plant sale is part of Freshers, and I got a new plant, and I like it.
So, what plant is it?
Red stemmed, green leafed, likes the shade.
Right.
Needs to maintain moist. I'm remembering the care instructions of the person I bought it from more than I am from the own name of the plant.
So the week where you're meant to really party hard and get used to being getting used to life as a student, your highlight is I bought a plant.
I was up till 2 a.m.
Partying hard. At least once.
I was at the union. I had lemonade. I had 2 lemonades that night, actually.
Oh, don't push your boat out. 2 lemonades. What was going on in the union that night?
They had a white T-shirt thing, where if you wore a white T-shirt, they gave you a free drink. But it was a very specific drink because I don't drink alcoholic stuff, and it was an alcoholic drink mixed with an energy drink, and I don't drink, so it was like. And I've got
Don't
these
drink either alcoholic or energy drinks, do you?
No, I've got these sitting on my desk, which I got for free, which you can't see them because of the camera angle, and the podcast listeners can't because there's no video.
You'd have to describe it.
It's this energy drink, blueberry pomegranate acacia acai.
Right.
So you can see my problem on 2 points with these, and I have 2 of them.
Did you get given them for nothing?
Yeah, they were free. Obviously, I took them. I wasn't gonna reject them as they were being put in my hands. But you can see my problem with them because 1, they're energy drinks, and 2.
Why did you just not accept them saying, I don't like energy drinks?
I just figured I'd hand them off to someone, but I haven't managed to do it yet.
Nobody else wants them.
Everyone else has theirs.
Yeah, well, somebody will have them. Are you a fan of an energy drink, man?
No.
I'll just leave them in the kitchen next chance I get.
Yeah, leave them in the kitchen and let somebody else take them to just make a different, to use them if they want to. I've realised that we are unusually recording this from Russell's Apple Mac. And it looks like he's got about 400 apps open at the bottom of his thing. Now, that is bad app management, isn't it, Charlotte?
Well, I've got 5.
Well, what's your 5? What apps you got open at the minute?
That can close. That can close. That's 3 of the same thing.
I didn't realise that Tinder had a Apple Mac app either. Did you?
Tinder.
Well, if it's got an Apple app, it's got an Apple Mac app.
Oh, Tinder is Grindr, isn't it?
Grindr. It's got Grindr open. Oh, he's nice, Russ. He's nice.
He doesn't actually have Grindr open. I can't see it, but I'm just assuming they're joshing with me.
No, it's got Grindr open.
Anyway, I've got my files.
Started in a committed relationship. They don't stop him browsing. All right.
I've got my files, my Spotify, Zoom, which I'm using to talk to you guys. Other face call services are available, and my Google, which has got Zoom, my email, a piece of work I'm doing.
So
Yeah.
you are guilty of being a app heavy, yeah?
Well, only the stuff I need, because like Spotify, I used to listen to music.
Yeah.
My files is where I scroll through stuff when I save stuff on there. So right now I've currently got it saved on my screenshots, which I just screenshot a lot of stuff if I try and remember them, and I can't. So I'm just like, I'll screenshot it, put it in a file.
Fair enough.
Put that away for later.
Russ, while you've been telling us about your desktop, Russ has had a reminder that he needs to talk to me about some annuity research, and we've deferred that until Tuesday because today is a bank holiday. Did you catch, Charlotte, any of the Queen's funeral?
No.
Me neither. I hope. Whoever was feeling sad about who is clearly a sweet old lady's loss of life. Why are you laughing? Right, let's be serious for a minute. There are people out there who are genuinely upset about the Queen passing away. She was a consistent figure in all of our lives for quite a long time. And even though I'm not a particular royalist, I'm going to go with Sophie on this one, my youngest daughter, and say she was a very sweet lady. So I hope that we can mourn successfully and then get to a point where we're sort of moving on and hopefully with a new king, King Charlie III. Now, what I'm hoping
He'll be gone soon.
What? He'll be gone soon.
Yeah.
You going with that? We'll be gone soon.
No, because it will not. I reckon like eventually they'll go. He's not fit for the position. We'll replace him with someone new. And
What are they going to replace him with?
no, someone in line or something.
No, he'll do it. I think he'll do a decent job. I think he'll be all right. But why are you assuming? You know what's happened? She's gone to Scotland. She's become all militant, hasn't she? She's like sort of. She's going. Are we abolishing the royalty now, Charlotte? Just because you've been in Scotland for a week? Is that a no?
No,
Okay, all right. Fair
I
enough.
couldn't give two tosses.
Fair enough. Right.
I mean, they're a nice source of economic income, but like, what good did that do us 2020, 2021?
Fair enough. Charlotte, clearly not a fan of the royal family.
I just don't.
Let's move on to the question of the podcast, which is what is your karaoke song?
No woman, no cry.
So Russ has already answered that. He is all day long singing No Woman, No Cry. Now I've heard Russ do the Hoosiers. Is it the Hoosiers or is it Hoosier?
Sorry, yeah, it's Hoosier.
Is it Hoosier, the Hoosiers, or
No,
what?
Hoosier.
Who's here?
So it's Hoosier. Why did you pull that weird face when you said Hoosier?
I'm like mid getting over a cold, so my nose really hurts at the moment, and I've been trying to not blow it loudly while we're recording.
You know what? I mean, it would contribute to the shambolic nonsense that is the Kindness Project, wouldn't it? Just 'cause I don't think we've ever had on the podcast somebody blow their nose mid-podcast.
We've had you sneeze up.
Joe, what have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Take your clothes off.
Especially turn my top lid. Yeah.
No, I've definitely blown my nose on the podcast. I must have done because I get like this
A lot.
a lot.
So what is when you're not recovering from a cold, Charlotte, what is your karaoke song of choice?
Oh, I do not know. I think it changes all the time.
Oh, no.
At the moment, I wouldn't know.
Right, so what was it before?
Just something easy and something I don't have to sing along because I feel like that's always where I get caught up is if no one else knows the song.
Well, I mean, we do a mean Hamilton rap, don't we? We've done that last, and I am guilty. I mean, thankfully, karaoke works well for me because I never remember the words to songs independently. So having the words come up works really well for me.
Oh yeah, but karaoke's always better when you know the words.
Karaoke's always better without the words.
When you know the words, so you don't have to follow along.
Fair enough.
You always end up 1 second behind when you follow along.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I've seen with you where you like the song comes on and there's not a thing, and you like look up the lyrics, and you're always a little bit out of rhythm or a little bit out of time.
I mean, Spotify is really good for that because Spotify. I've just Charlotte and Russ. I've just looked. We're recording this from my dining room table, and I've just looked. And on our dining room table at the minute is a box with what looks like two naked sumo wrestlers on it. How does that look to you, Russ? And then just a little thing popping out of the sumo wrestlers that just says Biff. That's a strange thing to come up to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so what are you going for? You're going for No Woman, No Cry.
Yeah, No Woman, No Cry.
What Bob Marley song would you sing, Charlotte?
What? Why would we be this specific?
Iron Like a Lion in Zion.
Three Little Birds, I'd go for. Definitely Three Little Birds.
I know which is one of my favourite songs to hear be sung on karaoke, and it's when Grandad does
Firestarter.
Firestarter. Yeah.
Unofficial question in the podcast. Does anybody else's granddad do Firestarter?
With the motion as well, you know, the one when he does like
Yeah.
he's running his fingers through his hair, even though he ain't got none.
Yeah. So, a visual question of the podcast. What is your karaoke song of choice? You can get in touch with us and let us know. using the following methods. Come on, get with the program.
Sorry, my nose is leaking.
So
On
is
Twitter,
that how people get in touch with us? www.mynosesleaking.com.
yes, exactly. On Twitter, we're Out of the Kindness. On Facebook, we're the Kindness Project Podcast. Yes. If you want to Google us, it's the Kindness Project Podcast. If you want to go to the website, it's www.thekindnessproject.co.uk. I've been on websites like that where it's like you can type something else and the actual website comes up, and it's so funny.
Like what? Give me an example.
A podcast I listened to that you can put an inside joke as the thing, and the website for the podcast comes up.
Yeah, well, sometimes the references are referenced in the website, aren't they? And it's
No, like they actually set it up so like if you typed this fake website name, it came up with the website. It redirected to the website.
Can we do that? Can we see how much? www.mynosesrunning.com is I'll pay for it.
No.
And then what I'm going to do is anybody that goes to www.mynosesrunning.com then gets redirected to Charlotte's website so they can read her amazing articles, which I'm hoping next week's article is going to be about influenza. Charlotte.
I have one on infection.
Noses.
I have one on infection that's like a couple of years old now, from like 2020. So if anyone wants to go to the website,
what mynosesrunning.com,
charlottedames.com.
have a look at it.
Plug in the website. There's one about diseases and infection, but also how they spread with invasion and sort of colonization as well.
Oh, I see what you mean. But we've spoken about in the podcast before the impact of the Spanish flu, haven't we?
Yeah.
On that note, as we're plugging stuff, let me plug the Kindness Project book. We have got a publishing date, Russ, haven't we? What date is that?
The 17th of November.
Thank you, producer Russ. 17th of November. All of the gears are in action. We've got loads of really good testimonials where people seem to be enjoying the book. If you're not connected to me on LinkedIn, please do that, because I'll be sharing loads about the Kindness Project book. You can find me Chris Dames on LinkedIn and Chris Dames on Twitter. And you can visit the website, Russ, and click on books at the top, and you'll find yourself with a little place to put your email. Put your email, and as soon as the book comes out, you'll get a chance.
That is exactly right.
You'll get the chance to. Why did you interrupt me there?
Because usually you get it wrong. It's exactly right.
Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. You'll get the chance to have a sneaky peek and get some bonus stuff that we're still deciding what to give away. I think we should give away 12 cans of Iron Brew to every reader. What do you reckon, Charlotte?
Do it. Charlotte's Mug of the Week is up and running now.
Oh, sorry. Are you plugging your website and Charlotte's Mug of the Week?
Look, you said it was plug time. Mug of the Week is up and running. It's now got two things.
Right. What have you put on Mug of the Week?
So obviously the Savello one went first.
Of course.
And I had in that, I think it was just, I can't remember because that was last Monday. I did
How many followers you got for Charlotte's Mug of the Week so far?
2 or 3, not loads. We're not booming.
It's a snowball.
It's a start. And this week I've got this mug, which I literally posted like just before we started recording.
Other side, Charlotte.
Huh?
Move it to the other side of the screen.
Oh, 118 security.
Yeah. And it's so what I've decided to do with my posts is put the mug and whatever the mug is, and then what tea I'm drinking out of it. So
what tea are you drinking out of the Savello mug?
Check out the post and you'll find out.
Oh, I love the teaser, Charlotte.
The teaser.
The teaser. Excellent punchline. Right, we are moving on.
Sorry.
that checking out the post. That's my cup of coffee.
I'll drink coffee out of it one of these days just to throw a hook in there.
Can I have that Savillo mug back?
No.
Yes, because it's my property.
Actually, it was
Any tea punch you want to share us?
No, I'm fine.
Any tea punch, Charlotte, before we move on?
I've got my iron brew.
Right, let's move on to
Kindness news.
and what I'd like to share in kindness news today is the two next people on the Independent's most inspirational people of 2022. It's Vicky Burford. She got nominated by her colleague Claire Bagger. Vicky is an inspiration, says Claire, as co-founder and chairperson of the children of the charity Pans Pandas UK. Vicky works to advocate for and support those living with those neuropsychiatric conditions. Triggered by a misdirected immune response, Pans and Pandas results in a constellation of devastating symptoms. She is the glue that holds thousands of families together and fights for change so that young people living with these conditions get the correct care. Vicky is patient, incredibly kind, knowledgeable, diplomatic, compassionate, and driven. Her enthusiasm and energy are driving forward much needed change in the UK, both of individual families and systematically across health, social care, and education systems. Well done, Vicky. It sounds like you're doing amazing work.
Scarborough's Ian felt so helpless as Russia's war unfolded in Ukraine. He decided to offer up his house to those fleeing the conflict. I'd planned to rent it out for profit, but in those terrible times, there are more important things, said. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It is Ian, right?
Yeah, it's Ian.
Who housed 2 Ukrainian families and set up a family Facebook page called the Scarborough Sunflower Appeal to help cover the costs of essential furniture and utility bills, and for the donation of food, clothes, toiletries, and bedding. The group has grown and now supports more than 100 Ukrainians resettled in the Scarborough area with face-to-face group English lessons and social events and weekly drop-in meetings to offer advice on benefits, education, health and employment. Ian continues to fundraise to expand the support to both sponsors and guests.
Amazing stuff. Well done, Ian. Great. We all feel for what's going on in Ukraine at the minute, and the fact that you're supporting people who are fleeing a war-torn country, and certainly something I'd never want to do, Russ and Charlotte.
No, nor would I.
So really important work there. Let's move on to our interview for this week. It's with Lauren. Lauren's a returning guest because as the book is being published pretty soon, we want to be interviewing some people who are featured in the book to see what they're up to now. So let's move on to part 1 of our interview with Lauren.
How did you get 3?
The 3 that are with me that I'm sort of, Gaz is calling me Daddy Daycare at the minute because she's off to Scotland dropping Charlotte off at uni. So my eldest one's going to uni in Glasgow, funny enough.
Oh, Glasgow. Oh, good for her.
She's doing a journalism degree up there. So they've gone up there today. And then the 3 kids' mums wanted to go away for the weekend to Copenhagen. And they said, look, their uncle can come and get them, but you might 3 and 4. I said, fine, my podcast interview isn't until 4. Uncle's not arrived yet, so they're pretty quiet in the background. But if I've got to run off, it's because I've got to answer the door and just sort of make sure those kids are all right.
You're doing a good deed, Chris. I applaud it.
I'm doing what I can. How are you? Tell me about what's been going on in your life. No, actually, it's same for the interview because I don't want to.
Well, I have to say, I'm so sorry to hear about the Queen.
Oh no, I know it's certainly sad news. I'm not a massive royalist, but actually, there is an element of sadness there, isn't there? Because of just
How
did you? Yeah. Yeah. It's I suppose it's one of those things where for our lifetime she's been around, right?
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Raz, are you ready to record?
I'm ready
did.
when you are, mate.
Cool. All right, good stuff. So, Lauren, I'm so sorry if I need to sort of just say I need to hold on for 2 minutes, and if I do, I'll let you know if Uncle arrives. So we'll get that done. But let's start the interview, and then Raz, with his amazing editing skills, can just make it look seamless.
Well, I'll decide on that when I get to it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we'll get there on that. Okay, so let's do the interview. Hi, Lauren. How are you? Really excited to have you back on the Kindness Project.
It's so good to be back, Chris. It feels like it's been eons, but I'm really pleased to be here.
Yeah, well, it's been. I think it's been a few years actually since your first appearance. And but definitely, it was definitely pre-COVID, and it's weird how we now identify everything we do as pre and post COVID, isn't it? It's like that line in the sand now, isn't it?
Yeah, I fully agree. Feels like a different time.
How was COVID for you?
COVID was pretty crazy for us. I mean, it was crazy for everybody, but we actually left the UK right when lockdown started, because we were planning on moving back to the US in the summer of 2020. But when COVID hit, we accelerated everything by 3 months, and it was just a mad rush to get out of the country and sell our flat and start a new life here. So from a health point of view, we've been incredibly lucky, and we have not been impacted by it.
Good.
But it was just kind of a funny mad rush across the ocean.
Was COVID the sort of driver for it, or was that the sort of point where you thought, actually, I need to go now?
Oh, no, we'd been planning on moving back because we'd been in the UK for about 8 years, and we had just gotten to the point where we needed to be closer to our parents here and our children. Yeah. We wanted them to have a better relationship with their family here. I mean, I have such fond memories of Edinburgh in particular. I love it and keep in touch with, loads of people, but it was time for us as a family to move back.
And I think if COVID's taught us one thing, that family's important, right? And making sure that we have really good relationships with the people we love is vital. So yeah, I completely get that. Now, it has been a while since you've been on the podcast, and we have accumulated tens and thousands of more listeners since you first came on, which is great news. But for the podcast listeners who might have missed the first interview but have joined since, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I am a philanthropic advisor serving primarily ultra-high net worth families, individuals, and now increasingly corporations as well. And when I was in the UK, I owned and ran Thoughtful Philanthropy, working with primarily individuals who wanted more control over their giving and wanted a real clear plan of how they could use their money to act on their values. When we moved back to the US, I obviously couldn't continue to run a Scottish firm from Chicago. So I joined Phila Engaged Giving, which is a small boutique firm based out of Seattle and now Chicago. And we, as a group of 3 advisors and a small support staff, we serve ultra high net worth families, individuals, and some corporate foundations.
Amazing. I've now got the dog barking and the kids thinking it's hilarious and taking photos of them. So this is, I mean, we are meant to be a professional podcast, Lauren, but I don't know what's happening in my house at the minute. So understand a little bit about the work, just for our podcast listeners, because they like to understand a little bit about the person behind the work. Tell us a bit about you.
Sure. So I am a nonprofit or third sector person through and through. As soon as I got out of uni or college here in the U.S., I well, like every 22-year-old, I went abroad and taught English because that was an adventure. And then, but then
Where did you go? Remind me.
I went to Hong Kong.
And how was that as an experience? Yeah, good experience, right?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, being 22 and having no obligations and, 240 students who thought I was brilliant just because of the language I happen to have been born studying or born learning. It was great.
Yeah.
So I loved the experience and learned an awful lot. But then I came back to the US and did a master's degree in international relations because I wanted to work for the UN. And decided that probably wasn't going to be a life path for me. But then I just entered the nonprofit sector full on and have been in there since. Really enjoyed working for a number of charities in the US, big and small. And then I ended up going to business school, getting an MBA at University of California in order to look at better at the donor side, because I was really interested. I loved the nonprofits I worked for and the causes that they supported. But when I was there, I started developing a real affinity for the donor, for the individual who, 100% out of the goodness of their own heart and their own desire to have an impact on society, gives up some of their hard-earned money to give to,
causes they believe in, right?
Yeah. Causes they believe in, and and contributing to this larger cause that they're not gonna, they're not gonna necessarily see the impact of their dollar, but they're gonna know that it contributes to this wider societal ill or change that they want to see in society. So I thought, I really want to help the donor understand better what they can do and kind of sometimes what they can't do with their donations, and help them build that stronger relationship between their giving and the outcomes that they want to see in the world. So,
and I suppose that's sometimes the challenge, isn't it? If you make a donation, how do you, and I think we spoke about this last time when we talked about the podcast, but how do you make sure that you're effectively making an impact and your money's going to a place where you're making a positive change in the world?
It is. And it's, I would even argue that it's even beyond making like an impact. Like we talk in the sector, you used to talk about, your ROI, like what kind of return on investment are you getting for your $100 or £100 donation? And the longer that I've been in the sector, the more that I've realized that that's just an unachievable aim to find, $100 in, $100 of impact. And it's unfair, I feel, to the sector to put that kind of obligation on.
Yeah. Impact isn't always tangible, is it? Right. That's the challenge. It's like to put that sort of numerical measure. It might work in business, but it doesn't particularly work well in the third sector.
You hit the nail on the head, Chris, because it's a business concept. And that's something that, works when you're creating widgets and, you can think about the inputs versus the outputs. But when you're thinking about something like improving mental health outcomes or, even improving the quality of life in a community, it's not, you really can't measure in the same way because there's so many other factors going into that. And you can do, there are studies that have looked at, if we put money into this school but not this school, what happens? But if you think about it, well, that means that you're neglecting another school that could be getting funds just for the purpose of your own social experiment. So I guess what we work with our clients on is thinking about more about the bigger issues, helping them understand what are the causes of, the underlying causes of poverty, for example, or environmental degradation, something that they feel really strongly about, and then looking at the different charities that are working in that sector, thinking about what approaches they're taking, what really resonates with the donor, what makes them think, yeah, okay, that's the kind of work that I want to support, and helping them even form a relationship with those charities. Following their newsletters, getting to know the individuals on the ground who are working, and having the donor start to give more than their check or their money, and start to give, we talk about the 4 T's in charity: time, treasure, talent, and testimony. So they've already given their treasure. How else can they give their time through volunteering? How can they give their their talents. Maybe if you're a graphic artist, how could you support that charity through helping them with their website and their
Well, potentially. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people on the podcast and had a lot of conversations about this. Just leadership and that non-exec style, using your practical experience to help that charity thrive, right? That's always an interesting one, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if that's what they're asking for, and if it is, then that's amazing. And even opening up your circle, your network to that charity, introducing them to it, gathering other donors, putting them in touch with if they need an accountant, maybe finding a pro bono accountant for them from your network. All of that goes into creating this giving experience that is so much more rewarding and fulfilling than writing a check, sending it off, and saying, "Well, what did you do for me today?"
So that was part one. That was good, wasn't it? We've got part two next week, and then we're moving on to "Tis the what, Charlotte?"
Here's the end of another podcast. But the end, never the end.
Podcast listeners, we need to step up our game, because what we need to do is we need some more responses. I thought this was going to be an absolute classic. What's the funniest name you've ever heard? Nothing.
No.
Tumbleweed. Absolute tumbleweed. So help us out, podcast listeners. Please make sure that you give us some answers on the next question of the podcast. On that note, end of the podcast. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.
Bye.
Bye.